Well, to know more information on this, we have Mr. Gautam, teacher. Well, yes, Gautam.
Yeah, good afternoon, dear. Please tell me.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Gautam, as you being a teacher. Thank you so much for joining us on live. I know you will be busy with your online classes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please go ahead,
Yes, Mr. Gautam, I would like to ask you, will almost 1.4 million students resume classes at, some 2,800 kindergartens, primary and middle schools across the city following the reopening of high schools in May. And also, students were asked to wear masks and avoid public buses or trains if possible. What do you have to say on this? Because day by day, the cases are surging. They are getting high, right? Don't you think schools should be reopened at this point of time?
The opening of schools is certainly the call has to be taken by this particular state government.
Right.
But as of now, looking at the current scenario of the rise in surge in the COVID cases
Right.
throughout the country, it's only been suggested by education experts that this particular opening of the schools have to be done in a phased manner.
Right.
That the schools have to be opened from classes from 9 to 12 because
Right.
students of the higher classes are well aware of this virus and they know how to maintain social distancing and how well they have to cope up in case of any of the symptoms they find and how well they can manage this and live
Right.
with this virus and move ahead with the curriculum, with the studies, because it's already been 3 months over.
Right.
We tend to start the academic year in June, but we are almost in September now.
Right.
Probably by this time we conduct the first semester or the first exam just before the start of the second term. So
Yes.
So now is the time to open up since we've the guidelines been issued by the central government and the unlock 4.2 where certain things can be relaxed. The schools and colleges to some extent can be relaxed and can be opened in a phased manner.
Right.
So that the students also get well versed with the new way, the new format of living life and coming back to school. It's almost now 3 to 4 months.
Yes.
Schools haven't reopened. So yes, it can be opened, but in particular, it has to be, the call has to be taken up by the respective state government, keeping in mind the pandemic and the current scenario in the particular state.
Right.
And open it in a phased manner and following all the protocols, all the safety measures of social distancing, wearing
Right.
masks, and it's going to be a tough challenge for the schools.
Very, very tough, I tell you.
To open up the schools and sanitize the schools and give on a daily basis, keep checking with the students the temperature or any of the symptoms they have.
Right.
So this is going to be an important phase in the entire year, and it's the responsibility of the teachers, the school, and more importantly, the parents to see to that they send the students regularly to school now.
Right.
Because this is almost 3 months. The school, in case it opens, and the students also should be prepared to come to school.
Right. Also, as you are talking about Unlock 4.0 guidelines, I would like to ask you, well, the Unlock 4.0 guidelines announced by the MHA said that, schools, colleges, education institutes and other coaching centers will remain shut till September 30, right? MHA guidelines also allow students of 9 to 12 to visit their schools outside the containment zones on a voluntary basis to guidelines for their teachers. But the government is ready to also reopen schools as soon as possible, right?
See, the government is keen because it's a vice versa of the scenario.
Right.
Once we open up the schools, you have the activity going on of schools coming back to school. But more importantly, what is happening in some schools in the country, the teachers are not paid.
Right.
So once schools start functioning and the format of schools starts going on, it will keep rotating. The students tend to start paying the fees, and other things also can be taken up.
Right.
So the managements are keen that schools will be open, but the government is not keen on opening because in certain containment zones, the schools really are not advisable to open because the advisable to open the schools in the containment zone, because the containment zone is a place, it's restricted entry, no insider can come out and no outsider can actually get into a containment zone.
Right.
As per the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs, schools in the containment zones can't be opened. But yes, schools who are away from the containment zones, who are absolutely no scare of a COVID zone or no positive cases in and around, can be open in a phased manner. And but students from 9th class to almost the higher classes can be called in for to attend schools and take up their classes as it comes.
Yes, also I would like to ask you, there are many schools are also not paying the teachers, right, as the teachers are playing a major role during this pandemic, right? But there are many teachers, I have spoken to a lot of teachers, they are not yet paid for this, they are not yet paid.
To be very frank, ma'am, see, the hard fact of this pandemic and this lockdown is affected the teachers very, very badly.
I know.
It's been March and today we are standing in September. It's almost been 5 months. Teachers have not been paid anything from the school because as I told you, it's the vice versa. Most of the management are clearly stating that since they are not receiving any fees or any fees from the school, from the students, they are
Right.
not in a position to pay for the teachers. So it's a tough following time for the teachers to get through this time, and most of the teachers, knowing unknowingly, have taken up odd jobs to support themselves and support the family. So as I told you, in case schools reopen, it will be some kind of a relaxation to teachers as well, because they would be receiving some sort of salary in some way or the other.
Right.
That will help them, because now it's been affected them very badly, and they're just waiting out to see when schools will reopen, and slightly they would come back to a bit of normalcy.
Right. Also, when talking about the students, I would like to ask you, the lunchtime will be staggered to reduce, crowding at eating places, while session timings will be changed to reduce commotion in corridors. I would like to ask you, don't you think the teachers, like staff, non-staff, it is really difficult for the students to control over this? Usually lunchtime and all these times, the children gather in a very big groups. Don't you think it's really difficult for the staff and non-staffing people to, change all these and making the students do all these things?
Speaking in terms of all these guidelines, now school is going to look completely different now.
Right.
You're not going to have a normal school what you had before earlier, but we're having assembly in the morning, sports period in the afternoon, or after school some games being held,
Right.
or some extracurricular activity. This is
Right.
not going to happen now anymore. For some more months or some more, maybe years as well, till we get a vaccine for this virus.
Exactly.
So now it is the responsibility of the teachers and the teachers as well to monitor every student, but practically it's not possible at times.
Right.
It lies with the students also. They would be counseled now how to manage themselves in the school premises.
Right.
Like coming to school, what protocols to be followed. No doubt parents also would be guiding them, but it lies the responsibility of the students also. See, you can't really hold the management of a particular school or the teacher responsible, and it's practically not possible for a teacher to keep an hawk eye on all those 50 or 60 students.
Right. I definitely agree with your point.
Monitor
Yes.
of what is the student doing and how the social distancing maintaining the classroom.
But checking with so many students is really difficult, right?
Really difficult. For example, there are 5 sections and each section has got 50.
Right.
5 into 5, 250 students. So no doubt the management will keep an eye and follow all the protocols.
But
It's the responsibility of the students in particular and the parents to keep themselves away, in case they have any of the symptoms, to not come to school, so that it's affecting them and the students in and around the school as well.
Right.
So keeping this in mind, schools have to be run henceforth, and all the protocols have to be followed till we get a vaccine and things go very smoothly now onwards.
Right.
No more students would be infected henceforth. So that would be the main focus, to run a school in a smooth manner and keeping all these protocols in mind.
Right. Also, Mr. Gautam, I would like to ask you, don't you think schools at this point of time can be, high risk places, as children are often crammed into, ventilated rooms for 8 hours or more than that, and also there's a lot of mixing because, children come from across the neighborhood on some public transport, on some other different places. Don't you think it's really risky? It's not safe at this point? And
getting into ventilated room now, every computer lab or probably every classroom has got an AC or a air conditioner. That probably won't be allowed to run now. So probably open up the windows to get in fresh air, because there were reports from the WHO that the AC also might see to that in case someone is infected, the virus might linger.
right.
So the priority is that to see to that the ACs are not being used. Probably you open the windows and the doors, and that will help them. Or even the fan is also sufficient.
Right.
And next is the students need to be very careful in case they have any of that. I'm sorry, you come up with the second question, please. Different question in the same format. First was the using of the AC is what you're talking about. Next was something else.
They'll be in the ventilated classes, right, for 8.5 hour long hours, and also they will, come from different places, right?
Yeah. So coming from different places, see, everyone travels from a different geographical region in a particular place in the city. So once they reach the school, it's the school's responsibility to scan them, to check them in terms of the body temperature, in terms of any of the sickness they have, to immediately isolate them and send them home for a quarantine maybe for some days.
Right.
That is the thing has to be done at the very point at the entry of the school level,
Right.
in the early morning. So now the staff has to be slightly trained, increased to follow all these protocols,
Right.
before they allow the pupil to enter the school, or the kid to the student to enter the school. So once he enters the school, it's very difficult to check out or scrutinize him. It has to be done at the entry point at the school level at the gate itself. So once
Right.
they do that, they now have an idea of anyone is not unwell, they certainly can be sent back home to take rest.
Right.
That has to be done so to avoid any further cases arising in and around the school.
Right. Well, yes, Mr. Gautam, thank you so much for joining us on live. Well, in spite of a busy schedule, thank you so much for joining us on live.
Thank you for your time. It was really nice speaking on this particular topic, which is very close. Schools
Right.
are going to kickstart after a long time.
Yes.
And this is really a good conversation to talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gautam. Well, we have seen how the COVID has brought about phenomenal changes in the educational scenario. We meet again with some other developments. Keep watching CVR English. This is Savira Kottapalli signing off.